question.
Yep, go.
Right, okay. I would sum up what you've been saying, making common sense, common practice. Where does the term, or is it a taboo term, laziness come into this?
So do you mean that thing that you get?
I'm guilty myself.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So am I.
Well, but it's a
So-
natural
so-
phenomenon because your body does not want to do. It's not designed. Well, it is designed to move about. It's completely designed, but it wants to conserve energy. So you will always grab it. You will always want to eat the high sugar, easy gain stuff and rest because your body thinks it's conserving that energy for the time when you're being chased by a lion or whatever. And that's the way that we're designed. And so you will always want to take the more, I guess, less strenuous thing. And we're all like that. You know, why do something that's hard, that's going to put you out of breath and everything? And that's why it's very difficult. But we sort of do it in other frames of life, you know? A bit like again, brushing teeth. Like, again, to me, that's something that, it's like, how did we get a whole population of people doing this thing for an abstract thing further down their life? You know, like, no one's doing it thinking, oh, I brush my teeth because I don't want to get cavities or I don't want to get dental disease. We just do it because we do it. And again, if we can incorporate something in your day that you think, well, I walk to the bus stop and I do it every day and I've done it and it's out of the day, you know, it's out of the way, but hopefully I've had some fresh air and I always feel better from doing it. But it's become habitual. That's probably a way to overcome that thing. Then I will go tonight, I'm going to do an hour of exercise in the gym. It's never going to, well, for some people it does happen, but it's you know, that's a big ask, isn't it? When you're busy, you're tired or whatever. So actually making something that's enjoyable, that you don't even know is really, you're tricking yourself to do movement. For example, being part of a community group, litter picking, be it working in an allotment, doing your garden, things like that where there's another gain out of it. Are probably ways to overcome that. But that laziness thing that you talked about is something that's inherent in all of us because that's how we're made.
So, I think brushing teeth not a good analogy. One, probably your parents might have done it, and not people don't brush their teeth. And secondly, it's over in 5. You know, you've got to look at that clock. Even 1 minute looks long. So, it depends what age you're looking at. You know, so the question is, and you have to work with people. It takes time. How can we put in exercise or movement into somebody's daily life?
What did I? So you told me about.
So you need
brushing
a
teeth.
tool. I mean, it depends what age you're looking at, etc. So, you know, people go to work, do this, do that. Yeah. I mean, I've just looked at what I've done today. It's I've done 8,438 steps, but that's not over a minute. You only lose 200 calories anyway. So, for the average person, so let's take, you know, somebody age older person, what, 75? What they're going to do in the daytime? Certainly, this place is ideal. This place has so much potential as a hub for well-being, which it is starting to be. You're quite right. The physical and the social go together. I mean, lots of people. So, I think some of these things is how can people incorporate activity? If you talk about exercise, people don't do it. You talk how can people do physical activity into their lives. Don't expect people to be out of breath. Forget it. They might be able to do a bit more walking, yeah. But of course, counter to that is we pick up the phone and we get a car to come. You're losing the social, you're losing the activity, you're losing the cognitive going out, you're losing the breath of fresh air. Disaster.
I like what Morris just said, mixing the social and the activity. In my culture, the Hindu culture, I find lots of people, especially women, don't go about a lot of physical activity until roughly this time of the year. What's about to happen with Diwali is 9 evenings of dancing. And if you go and watch them, not only will they be dressed beautifully in silk saris, but you watch them move. And when they're doing these clapping or the stick dances, they really are into it. And they will not stop. And these are women that don't normally move a lot, okay?
Do some trials.
So the thing about social activity and movement does come in. And Maurice just said, don't expect them to get out of breath, and I agree with you for the large part. But during these dances, you will see people, puffing, and they will carry on because the music hasn't stopped. And so if there was some way, and David, you spoke about population level of people being active, how'd you do that? Well, if there were dances in every street corner, I'll just make that up, okay? If there was some kind of an activity that people would enjoy, and it's a group activity, and it's pleasurable, the dance is pleasurable, then I think you might get that happening. People will come out of their houses, their flats, or whatever, and say, well, I must go there because I need to be there. Others are expecting me to be there. And that's what peer group support that I think is also important. Yeah? Can I invite Shirley to say something? Sorry. After you.
Oh, I was just going to say, most of my friends, they always say to me, would you like to come for coffee, my husband, cake and tea. So now I have started saying to them, can we just go out for a walk instead? And we end up going to Bentley Parade for a good 2-hour walk. And then I think it's something a bit shy of saying no. Yeah, exactly. They sort of don't want to say, no, I don't want to go with you for cake, but I'm kind of more upfront and say I'd much rather walk 2-3 hours than sit down 2-3 hours and chat. Or maybe 3 hours walk and then chat for half an hour and have a coffee.
Yeah,
You've
I think,
kind of got to have that initiative
I
in a
think
way.
that kind of peer pressure. So I went to
It
meet
is peer pressure, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
went
think
to
people are a
meet
bit uncomfortable saying
another physical activity research person, and I was expected to just sit in her office, and she said to me, should we go for a walk? In fact, she didn't say, should we go for a walk? She said, let's go for a walk. And I was thinking, oh God, really? I've just so right. But actually, I'm so glad that she did, because
You enjoyed
was
it?
great. Yeah, it
Well,
was
most of my
brilliant.
friends now, they don't say, do you want to come for a coffee? They know. They go, do you want to come out for a walk and
Yeah.
talk? And I'm like, yeah, fine.
Walk and talk. That's a good one.
A walk and a talk.
Walk and talk.
Walk and talk.
Yeah, and I just feel so much better. I can't sit down for hours and hours talking.
Yeah,
It's so bad for you.
yeah, and I think that's part of the thing, isn't it? You do something that makes you feel quite good, you're more likely to do it again. And
Yeah.
again, it's not you're doing it because you want to have a chat and you want to be sociable, you want to get a bit of fresh air. You're not doing it because I've been very conscious not to use the word exercise, because I know that there are.
But it is exercise as well.
It is exercise, but
Oh God, yeah.
we don't think about it like that, and also
No,
we don't need to
doesn't.
think about it like that. Why do we use these terms like exercise or whatever? It's just moving. It's part of. We're designed to
A
move.
well-being walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a question, but then I'd like to invite Shirley to respond, to help me with it. As a society, are we being overprotective and preventing people from moving? So I'm going in that direction, okay? So I'll just tell you a real story, something that happened today, about an hour ago. So I brought Shirley by car, and I said, okay, there we are, there's Park Life Cafe, and Shirley said, where are you going to park? And I said, oh, I'm going to park at the Lidl, just across. But don't worry, Shirley, I'll do a U-turn in a second, and I'm going to drop you at the entrance of Park Life Cafe. And what did you say, Shirley? Would you like to take over the story?
Well,
Explain. Go on.
I said you park your car and I'll walk with you.
Oh,
I mean, well,
And I thought, hang on, I'm responsible for Shirley. How can I possibly do that to her? And no,
what
I'll
do
go
you
and
mean
find
you're
a...
responsible?
Do you see this? Do you see this, okay? So I'm being overprotective is what I'm accusing myself of doing, I think.
Well,
And maybe, yeah.
I have that given.
I
I
thought you
don't.
were going to hit him.
I threatened him a few times. I had this brought up by a gentleman who lives near here. Well, he used to have the shop, Peter Sorrell. I don't know if you know Peter. Well, he came visiting me. He used to have the electrical shop down in the parade there. And he came up, and the next thing I know, he brought me round. And he said, as you're getting older, Shirley, you might need something to prop yourself up. So this is my prop. And I don't need it, I can walk without it. But if I went down, I might have a problem. And so I always, if I'm out, I always take my stick with me.
So
But I even take it to bed with me, because I'm telling you my secret. About 3 o'clock in the morning, you could set your alarm clock. I'm ready for a little walk, you see. And I don't always wake up properly, so I reach for this and I think,
Sensible.
if I went down in my house, there's nobody there. You know, I live in the house on my own. Take my stick.
that's really good.
But no, I try to be as active as I can, but I'm very restricted now.
Well, what I should have done, David, I mean, the truth is, Shirley's house, for us, is like a 5-minute walk from here. Perhaps if we went at a slightly gentler pace, it might be 10-minute walk. Did Shirley walk with me here? No. No, I would never do that to Shirley.
I said I was prepared.
And Shirley keeps telling me I'm prepared. But so there's this overprotectiveness maybe in our society, I'm just wondering. And I think I may be guilty of that myself. Okay? So maybe there's a little bit of that going on, I don't know.
I think we see this in all parts of life. You know, you don't want to put people out. You feel that it's kinder to drive people somewhere, drop them off. You see it with children being dropped off. Don't go out in the rain. You don't want to get cold. You don't want to get wet. You end up, you know, through no fault of anybody, we denormalise movement in society. We see it with pregnancy, for example. We know that when you're pregnant, providing there's certain things, you know, there's certain medical conditions, whatever, that aren't there. But generally, if you're pregnant, being physically active is better for you
Well,
and the
they
baby.
used to have classes, didn't they, for the mothers' years? I don't know if they still do, I'm out of touch.
But I think while even now there's still a kind of I guess a frame of mind that it's like, well, no, once you're pregnant, put your feet up. Don't move
Yeah.
around too much, and that,
Yeah.
I think that still
Yeah.
exists.
I think
Overprotectiveness.
I think people should keep moving. I really do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't need that. And I'm 93 next birthday.
Yes.
You know, I'm active.
A person told me that a strength and conditioning person told me that these things are actually movement enablers. They're not disability aids. They're not something that we shouldn't see them as that. We should see them as ability aids, because what they do is give someone just that little bit of support or
Yes.
or you know.
That's right. That's my, I call it my
Reassurance.
prop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my prop.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that hasn't say? See? Or anybody?
Well, I can relate to that because when I was pregnant, my 2 pregnancies, I had such an easy time because every time my dad rang me, he said to me, don't forget to walk. You have to walk and walk and walk. And my goodness me, both the children have gone so quickly compared to the other members of my family. And I'm really, really grateful for that input and that stimulation.
I think you've got to keep your joints
Keep
going.
moving, really.
I've been playing sport all my life and I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that I can't do it now, you know. But up to 2 years ago, I was doing bowling, you know, until this COVID came along, indoor bowling. So I played bowls over in the park.
Is that Harrow Rec?
Just here. Just behind
Harrow
here.
Wheel.
Just
Yeah,
behind
there's one
here.
here as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I can recommend anyone take up a sport. I'm sure there's one around for any age or ability. I really do. Yeah, I love sport. Used to play hockey in my younger days. I was a hockey captain and
In
vice
Harrow?
captain at
Harrow Hockey Club or
yes, well also in Yorkshire.
oh, okay.
Yeah, wherever I lived. And I loved hockey. I loved tennis in the summer. I grew up in the country. Was a member of the Young Farmers Club, and you got plenty of activity there, chasing the cows. Now we used to follow the hunt on our bicycles. Could write a book about my life.
Should we not flip it, David? We know there's a relationship between activity and social. We also know that what they say loneliness is 10 fags a day or something. So maybe we don't flip the we don't look at the activity. If we can get more social activity and social groups, etc. Yeah, this is where some social prescribing come on. Your GP.
Yeah,
Social
but all
prescribing.
that stopped with the COVID, didn't it?
No.
Well,
not
I
at all.
used to go to clubs and they had to close
No, they're all
down.
starting. I mean, you know, they're starting again. This was closed, and you know, so maybe if you approach it through the, you know, the social model.
Morris,
Yeah.
that's why Roland wanted a gardening club.
That's brilliant. No, I'm
Yeah.
saying you're a hub here.
But we're one group, we can only do so
Well,
much. And
you start at the end of I mean, there's a whole midrash about, you know, sort of
a
starting with the
gardening
individual.
group, or just having people meet with a kettle
Social,
and
absolutely. So
you
you
know.
start with the social.
and we're in the park already.
So things like we go to Singing for the Brain by Alzheimer's, yeah. So these sort of groups, and there's one the one down at the Singing for
Mental health.
mental health. So we're talking. So rather than to look at, you know, how can we incorporate, you know, I mean, I believe in some places like Westfield, they you know have. You meet in the mornings, you have a walk before you open. It's safe, it's warm. So I suggest, you know, if you're not doing it right now on your doorstep down the road, have a social group that meets in Westfield. That's happening in other other shopping centres.
But it's also happening in pubs. There's
Yeah,
walking
absolutely.
groups, running groups, cycling
You've got
groups.
advertised there, haven't you? You're in the toilet. You're advertising your rambling groups.
Yeah.
Have they started again in the park? Because
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
they are beginning to. Last Thursday
Oh, right.
here,
yeah.
what's Caroline's surname? I've forgotten. Explain a new walk that's starting for carers.
Yes.
So if you are a carer, caring for somebody else, I think they call it Walk into Health and Well-being. And they're starting at the Bentley Priory. That's from the further.
And you know what? You don't have
There
to
you
be
go,
carers.
there it is.
She won't mind if you join her if you don't care for somebody else.
Yes.
But if you do, try and bring them as well.
Yes.
But the point is what Morris is saying.
And the camera just behind you.
There's a lot. Sorry. There's a lot of really nice, easy things going on, and to take advantage of them, I think we're very lucky now. Very lucky. But it's,
I've got a question for David. Look, in my mind, I see three different types of activities in my mind. There is the do chores around the house or gardening or something like that. Then there's the do sports, like go and play badminton or squash or tennis or whatever. And then there's this new thing that I saw by this guy called Michael Mosley, which is high intensity training, I think he calls it. And that really appealed to me. The third one really appealed to me because I struggle with time, and that's my lousy excuse for not going to the gym and so on. The high intensity training was like do 2-3 minutes of amazing high intensity, and he said that that was also very good. How do you position these things in your mind as different forms of activities?
So I think the high intensity stuff is very appealing to people, and there's starting to be a lot more evidence on it of its effect in different diseases, you know, beneficial effects. But also I think it's a lot if you're not accustomed to being physically active. So yes, the intensity is dependent on you. So you know, if you're not used to being physically active, then actually what is high intensity for you will be very different to someone with a different starting level. I think to me it blends into some of the stuff we talked about earlier, that yes, if you can do stuff like that and you're inclined to and it's comfortable for you, then of course, like, you know, it's time saving, but also I think it's one of those things that if you're like, you know, it's one of those things that if you're going out of your way to do that thing, is it going to be the thing that you're less likely, or that motivation will go? You know, I guess it depends. If you're doing it and you're enjoying it and you can fit it into your day and you can make, that's perfect, that's great. But I think also I have this thing of like, go easy on yourself, you know, that like you shouldn't feel guilty if you can't do something.
No.
But what you can do is just say, well, you know, like I wasn't able to do what I wanted today, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk around my garden, or I'm going to walk up and down my stairs a couple of times, or or I wasn't able to do it today. Tomorrow's
So I
another
want to
day.
go out for a walk for an hour, but it's raining or it's snowing. I'm going to do this instead.
I just want to get away from this thing of
Be
like,
kinder to yourself.
be kind, give yourself a break. You know, like there are ways of getting activity into your day, moving into
What
your
about
day.
somebody that's like, they don't go out for whatever reason, they don't want to go
That's the
out?
problem.
How do you kind of encourage that?
I mean,
Is it aquaphobic? Somebody that doesn't want to go out?
I mean, there's loads of reasons why you probably why people might be housebound, and then again there are loads of stuff on. There's stuff on YouTube. There's NHS videos, or there are videos from the Chartered Society of Physiotherapists for people who have issues with balance or mobility. And what they do, they've got 3 people doing exercises. One is standing, one is using something to balance themselves, and one of them is seating, and they're doing the same exercise but at different levels, which I think is really good. But
Yeah,
again, that's exercise.
Yeah, but that's based on somebody that's... So we've got one particular volunteer who comes there. She's really lovely and really energetic, but her daughter doesn't want to go out, and it restricts her, and we try and find different ways to motivate her to come out. And even like a piece of cake isn't going to work, so I don't know kind of what could. So I just wondered that when you mention about that you're into isolation and exercise, how do you square that circle, as it were?
Yeah, I think it's hard, because again, that's part of that thing of social isolation.
So it's a mind
You
thing.
lose that
So
opportunity.
the quality of your mind is also kind of important in this whole game.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you're restricted for whatever reason in your environment, it does make it more challenging to find those opportunities to be physically active. They are still there. It's interesting, during COVID, I believe it's the case that we saw so in children, we saw less active boys, so boys' activity, physical activity reduced, but girls was pretty much the same, and we think that's because there was that reduction in team sports that traditionally, or mostly we saw boys doing on the whole, but actually that we think those adolescent younger girls found other ways to be active, like using TikTok videos and things like that, that perhaps opened up opportunities to them. And that's a bit of generalisation from data from a selected group of people, but I think there are loads of opportunities. It's just about knowing where they are and finding them. And someone who might be less inclined to go out might find more opportunities online. Might find
You
YouTube.
opened up my brain actually to think whether this is good or bad. But like you see all these games where people shake things and follow the TV.
Yeah.
I think they're good on one hand, but what they do is they don't force you. It's like my kids, if they can sit and play on the computer all day, they will, but it doesn't encourage you. You think, okay, well, I'm doing something physical. It doesn't make you jump over and leap over to do the outside element, which I think is equally important. And I think that's a real odd square and circle that I'm not sure how it meets.
Yeah, it also depends. I mean, the big thing, it depends what group you're looking at. I mean, the big change since COVID is working from home,
Yes.
isn't it? So, I think you as researchers, as a reader, what has working from home impacted, if at all, in terms of
Physical
activity?
Yeah, we saw big drops during COVID.
Huh?
We saw big drops in physical activity.
And now people are, so that there are social, so I think in terms of what you're doing, we know that activity is better. I was told by another doctor that activity makes you more oxygen to your blood, up to your brain, so it's, it does something good for you, as you said. I think it's where can you best target people so they can help themselves without saying, God, I'm going to spend 3 hours a day working, how can I do something?
That's why I don't think 3 hours is a good idea, or 2 hours. I think if you can be active in your day,
That's
it
right.
makes a
That's the key to
Yeah.
getting people more. What can I do in my day to make it more interesting, make it more fun?
I think also having a dog helps.
Yeah.
It's
mean,
hard.
yeah, very
important, eh?
And since I've had a dog, I mean, the amount of people over 60 walking their dogs for an hour and the social side of it is amazing.
4 years ago, my physical activity increased exponentially because I was shamed by my children who blamed my generation for climate change. I gave up the car. And that I have to go do all my shopping, have to go to the shop, blah, blah, blah. It's increased it exponentially. Now, I've lost weight. The benefits, all the things that you said, all the things that you said, I can concur with 100%. Unfortunately, I've been forced to do it. My laziness has been overcome by a particular action, by giving up the car, and now I have to do things. And I like doing them now.
I bet they're normal for you now.
Yes, they are.
And I think that's part of it. That there was a building that I worked in a few years ago where I thought, right, I'm not going to use the lift. I'm on the second floor. I'm going to use the stairs. And like the first few days, weeks I was doing it, it felt a bit weird. It's like the lift is there. Why don't I just use the lift? But I kept on doing it. To the point where I didn't think about it anymore. And then when I did go in the lift, because I was with a group of people and we all walked towards it, it felt strange. And I think it's very easy to shift your mindset to where, you might getting in a car and driving 10 minutes down the road might feel completely normal to you and completely convenient because you don't need to put on your jacket, you can whatever. But you stop doing it and you do something else like cycle, you get rid of the car, you force yourself to change what you do. Actually, it changes very quickly to that thing that you thought was completely normal, so now seems very odd. And the thing that everyone else thinks is odd that you do is normal to you.
And people look at you, that's a bit odd.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I have to go.
You got a bus to catch, maybe?
I put the. If you could leave.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
David, I've got one final question.
No, thanks for it.
Say goodbye to Rachel.
So all the research you've taken the time.
Goodbye, Rachel. Oh dear, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Interact with us. What can we do? Maybe give you some feedback. How can we work together to help you with your research?
Well, I think telling me my ideas are good ones or bad ones, or how they can be better, is really helpful. Particularly about the balancing and the holding slabs, that kind of idea.
Balancing's important.
So any thoughts that you have that you can put down there would be great. I'm happy to talk more, have other meetings.
I just wanted to mention about I would ride a bike all over London if it was safer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, everybody is
That's a
texting
very
on the
good
phone.
point. So would I. If it was
I
safer.
recently got my daughter, because she can't get through her test, to ride her bike, but I'm actually very nervous now. I regret actually saying it to her, so because it's just so dangerous.
Well, I think those electric cycles are and
The
the
scooters, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're not really
I
exercise.
can't get out much, as you know, Vivian,
Yeah.
but I have seen them, and they come right up to people and then just swoop
Yes.
round them.
Yeah,
And
they're
Well,
very
no,
fast. Aren't they?
Such as me, I could step in the pathway and down we both go, you know. It's, I think they're very dangerous.
I think cycling in the UK, I think there's so much potential there.
You think of Amsterdam,
Yeah.
like Brenda
Oh
is.
yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
know.
It's
Yeah.
a shame we'll never be a society.
We've been in
like that.
cities in Holland
Yeah.
where literally there's one car and 500 bikes.
Yes.
We
And it's
found
lovely.
that.
With Amsterdam it's different because they've got very small, but these were big roads
Yes.
when the people, we saw them
They
flood
all
in the
went
mornings
round
and the evenings. It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
And you never
I think-
saw an accident, did you?
I think in London,
People have
It's
all
still
this-
much sense.
sensitive issue, isn't it? Where, for example, the low traffic network neighbourhoods, cycle lanes that came in and were taken out by councils because of opposition from people who live locally or whatever. So I think it's definitely something that where there is certainly a will and motivation to make it better, but also a lot of, I guess, opposite opinion to that.
Well, it takes a lot of accidents probably to happen until someone doesn't think about anything, isn't it?
But I think again it's that thing of what you consider normal. You know, like unfortunately in London it's almost normalised that, you know, I showed that picture of that child on a busy road and, you know, like I have to say outside some schools in London you think, how can this encourage children to cycle? I cycle, you know, my children cycle to school, but like by the time I drop them off, I'm ready to have a lie down. Like it's so stressful
That's terrible.
because of the traffic and, you know, even coming up to school gates. So it's something that is a shame because
It is a
it's
shame.
something that could easily facilitate active travel, get people moving every day. But you know, I don't know when it's going to change, when it's going to improve. There's certainly will to do it. There's certainly people who want to make it better.
And
I think with those low, we've got all those low bike things in the park there. I got 9 of them when they got taken out. And I just think it was I wouldn't say it was a minority, but I just think that nobody talked. And there is, like you said, a really proper appetite to cycle, but it's not, we need to move towards it faster in a way that draws everybody, gives everybody their little stories.
Agreed. Robin, David, everybody?
And why can't they maybe
Last-
encourage
last
to wear
point.
helmets? Sorry.
Yes.
Last point, carry on.
You know, I get so nervous when I'm overtaking cyclists and all, going slow without helmets, and I think, well, I wish there was some sort of encouragement for
So-
people to use helmets.
So true.
Can I just say something actually? On Sunday, every so often, we get a group of ladies who come in, and guys, and they're a cyclist troupe. So we'll have 17 of them here on a Sunday. And they do ride, short, and they're really good to get your confidence up with cycling. And cycling with a group, they go to some fabulous places. They've been to like Hammersmith, they've been up to Bushy, just around Harrow. So there are groups that do that. But he wants to go, so I was going to say 19 questions left, and then no.
I'm just going to say, Roland, if you're happy to kind of bring it to a close, I'm really pleased you came along today, David, and you've started a discussion that I don't think is going to finish tonight. And if there are any other feedback that anybody has got to pass on to David, feel free to send those to me. I'll happily send those across to you as well. Can we put our hands together and just
Yeah, sure.
say thank you very much?
Thank you.
Before we go, what's very important that I happen to know for David is the feedback forms that have been handed out. So if you could complete them and hand them to Naomi.
Actually, it's not just the feedback forms. If you would like to become one of his guinea pigs, he's always, they're not called guinea pigs. People he works with, he would be happy to join. And also people, if you know anybody, that's kind of...
Wait a minute,
His
so
feet.
go and expand on that a little bit. So are you looking for people to work
They
with?
all are.
I'm not, well, what I'm looking for is people who'd be happy to chat to me about ideas, or that we can run things by, like today, or that I could even come back and say, this is where we've got to with this idea, what do you think?
Yes.
What direction should I take it? What should I say? What's rubbish? What is good? What, you know, that kind of stuff would be really helpful.
Is there any particular few questions or something you could ask now that would help you with your research?